Right now, all over the world, people are chasing the exact same thing. A way to step, just for a moment, outside their own ordinary mind. A drink, a smoke, a spinning child, a runner's high. It feels like a modern craving for escape. It isn't. The urge to change how your own consciousness feels is one of the deepest, strangest things about being human, and it may be far older and far more important than anyone tells you. So, when did ancient humans first get high? Not the first accidental buzz. Not the first accident incomplete I's first high. Not the first aura buzz, not the accidental buzz, but the first time a human deliberately reached for a plant to bend their own reality. And did it on purpose. Again and again. The honest answer isn't a story about partying. It's a story about the birth of medicine, of art, and maybe of the gods themselves. Some researchers argue that seeking altered states is a basic drive. A fourth one. Sitting right beside hunger, thirst, and sex. And the strangest evidence is that we are not alone in it. Reindeer seek out certain mushrooms. Dolphins pass around a pufferfish. Birds gorge on fermented berries until they can barely fly. The pull to feel different seems written deep into living things. And in humans, it became a search. As our ancestors tasted their way across the world, they found a rare handful of plants that did something no food ever did. Eat this root. Chew that leaf. Swallow this pale mushroom. And the world would breathe. Colors would sing, and voices would rise out of the silence. These weren't meals, and they weren't quite medicine. They were keys. And they opened a door in the mind that our ancestors could not stop walking through. And here is the twist that changes everything. For almost all of human history, getting high was not an escape from the world. It was a way deeper into it. In the trance, a healer traveled to find a lost soul, a seer read the future. A whole community met their dead, their spirits, their gods, face to face. The altered state wasn't the edge of society. For tens of thousands of years, it was the sacred center of it. And no place on earth pursued that door more richly than the Americas. This is the continent of the sacred plants. The peyote cactus of the desert north, the vision vines of the Amazon, the coca leaf of the high Andes, and dozens of sacred mushrooms and seeds between them. The first Americans didn't just survive a new world. They spent thousands of years mapping the inside of their own minds, and they left the evidence behind. In the Shumla Caves of southern Texas, archaeologists found small dried buttons of peyote, tucked away and carbon dated to around 5,700 years ago. And they still held their mind-altering chemistry. That is one of the oldest hard proofs on Earth of humans deliberately using a psychedelic. Not a rumor, not a legend. The actual object, waiting in the dark for over 5,000 years. Further south, in a Bolivian cave, researchers opened a 1,000-year-old leather bundle and found a complete shaman's kit. Inside were snuffing tubes and pouches, and the chemical traces on them were staggering. At least 5 mind-altering substances at once, including the 2 ingredients that, brewed together, make the Amazonian vision brew we now call ayahuasca. Someone 1,000 years ago already understood a piece of chemistry it took modern science centuries to catch up to. And high in the Andes, people were chewing the coca leaf at least 8,000 years ago. Not to party, to survive. A wad of coca in the cheek dulled hunger, softened the brutal cold, and let the lungs fight thin mountain air. It was medicine, stamina, and sacrament in a single leaf, so woven into life that it was buried with the dead to carry them onward. And the same story was unfolding everywhere else. At once. Neolithic Europe grew the opium poppy and left it in graves. Across Asia, cannabis rose in smoke at funerals. Ancient peoples brewed henbane and mandrake, chewed betel until their mouths ran red, and ground ergot-tainted grain. No one taught anyone. On every inhabited continent, humans independently hunted down the local key to the same locked door. And this may reach right down into the birth of art itself. Deep in painted caves, among the animals, are strange repeating patterns. Grids, dots, spirals, zigzags. These are almost exactly the shapes the human brain generates on its own in a deep trance. Which raises a breathtaking possibility. That some of the first art humans ever made wasn't of the world outside, but of the visions rising behind their own closed eyes. And if the first art was born in the trance, then perhaps so was something even bigger. Think about where our oldest ideas come from, that the soul can leave the body, that there is another world beside this one, that the dead still speak. These are exactly the things a person experiences, vividly and unforgettably, inside a deep altered state. It is entirely possible that humanity first met its gods not in the sky, but on the other side of a sacred plant. But why should a leaf be able to do any of this to a mind? The answer is a kind of cosmic accident. Plants never made these chemicals for us. They built them as poisons, to sicken the insects that ate them. It just happens that a few of those molecules are shaped almost perfectly to slip into the locks of the human brain. We didn't invent these keys. We found them already lying in the grass and realized they fit. Some have pushed this even further, arguing that psychedelic plants sped up the evolution of the human brain itself, the famous stoned ape idea. Most scientists don't buy that. But the quieter truth is almost as wild. Whether or not it grew our brains, the pursuit of the trance clearly helped build our minds. Our rituals, our stories, our sense that life means something. The high didn't just happen to us. We built culture partly around it. And like every doorway this powerful, it has a dark side. The same plants that could carry a healer to the gods could just as easily kill. Get the dose of henbane or datura wrong, and the visions become your last. The line between medicine and poison, between sacrament and addiction, was always razor thin, and every culture that used these keys also had to build strict, sacred rules to survive them. So, when did ancient humans first get high? Not in some modern moment of weakness. Tens of thousands of years ago, and not to run away from life, but to understand it. The trance may be the hidden root of our medicine, our art, and our religion all at once. The place our species first went looking for meaning. That restless pull to peek behind the curtain of your own mind isn't a flaw the modern world gave you. It might be the very thing that made us human in the first place. We drank before we were human. We smoked to speak with the gods. And we may have met those gods and made our first art in the trance. If the roots of everything ordinary run this deep and this strange, the next question is already waiting, one tap away. Subscribe, and let's keep going.